Ever wonder how the pros, the elite athletes, bounce back so fast from these insane workouts? Well, they've got a secret. It's a powerful recovery hack that literally speeds up healing and cranks up their performance. Today, we are pulling back that curtain on what's called contrast hydrotherapy.
So, are you ready to learn the exact method that gives the top performers their edge? Because listen, this isn't just about feeling a little bit better, it's about getting better, way faster.
I mean, we are talking about a technique that is trusted by the absolute best of the best. You know, from Olympians who are pushing the very limits of what's humanly possible, to NBA players who have to be at their peak night after night. This is their competitive advantage.
And what's so incredible about this is that this elite method, sometimes called fire and ice therapy, doesn't require some high-tech million-dollar lab. Nope. You can do it right at home with the simplest stuff, 2 buckets, some water, and one secret ingredient we are going to get to in a minute.
And here is the payoff. Get this. We are not talking about some tiny little improvement here. Studies on athletic performance show this therapy can boost your next day workout output by up to a staggering 25%. Just think about that. Showing up to your next practice a quarter stronger than you would have been.
So, how in the world does just switching between hot and cold water create such a massive result? Well, it all comes down to some really fascinating physiology. Let's dive into the science. Okay, first things first. When you plunge into that cold water, your body has this immediate survival response, right? Your blood vessels clamp down and get super narrow. That's called vasoconstriction. It's literally pushing blood away from your arms and legs and towards your core to protect all your vital organs.
And then, the second you switch over to the hot water, boom, the exact opposite happens. Those same blood vessels rapidly open up and widen. That's called vasodilation. Blood just comes rushing back into your muscles, creating this incredible circulatory flush.
So this contrast, this back and forth, creates what's really at the core of this whole thing, a pumping effect. You're basically giving your entire circulatory system a workout, flushing out all that metabolic junk and flooding your muscles with fresh, oxygen-rich blood, all without even moving a muscle.
But that circulatory pump, that's only half the story. The real magic, happens on a hormonal level. This temperature shock triggers a huge release of a hormone called norepinephrine. Not only does it crush inflammation, but it signals your body to repair and adapt, which actually boosts growth hormone production. So, if you're in those major growth spurt years, what scientists call the peak height velocity window, this is a massive, massive catalyst for your development.
Now look, you could just stop with hot and cold water and yeah, you'd get some pretty good results. But the pros, they know there's one more step that turns this whole thing into a next-level therapy. This is the amplifier that most people completely miss.
The secret is adding sea salt. And no, this is not for flavor. It's a critical component that supercharges the entire process, turning your little recovery session into a full-blown mineral therapy session.
Okay, let's break this down. First, sea salt is packed with magnesium, which is absolutely essential for muscle relaxation and stopping cramps. Second, the minerals actually make the water more conductive, so the hot feels hotter and the cold feels colder, making the therapy way more efficient. And finally, the salt creates something called osmotic pressure. Just think of it like a magnet for water. It's actively pulling swelling and fluid out of your tissues way faster than plain water ever could.
All right, so you know the why. Now let's get to the how. We're going to walk through the exact research-backed protocol to make sure you get every single ounce of benefit out of this.
Here it is, the exact 4-step plan. First, your setup. You need 1 bucket of cold water. You're aiming for 50 to 59 degrees Fahrenheit, and a hot one, somewhere between 100 and 104. And don't forget, add 2 to 3 cups of sea salt to each bucket. Now, you always start with the cold. You're going to submerge for 3 to 4 minutes and really focus on keeping your breathing deep and slow. Then, switch immediately over to the hot water for 1 to 2 minutes. You're going to repeat this whole cycle 3 to 4 times. And the most important rule of all, always, and I mean always, end on cold. That's what locks in all those anti-inflammatory benefits.
So if you follow that protocol, you're going to unlock some incredible results. But, you know, it's just as important to know the common mistakes that can totally sabotage your efforts.
Let's talk about the payoff, though. The research here is crystal clear. Athletes who use contrast therapy report a reduction in that next-day muscle soreness by up to 50%. I mean, that's half. That means you wake up the next day feeling fresh and ready to go, not all stiff and sore.
And really, that's the bottom line, isn't it?
Feeling fresher just lets you train more consistently, and consistency is the undisputed king when it comes to maximizing your genetic potential. Plus, this deep recovery supports that high-quality sleep that is absolutely non-negotiable for growth hormone release.
Okay, now let's make sure we avoid the 3 biggest mistakes. First, don't go too extreme with the water. You are not trying to give yourself frostbite or burns, okay? Stick to those temperature ranges. Second, control your breathing in the cold. If you start panicking with short, sharp breaths, you actually reduce the benefits, so stay calm. And third, don't do this right before you plan to go to sleep. The whole process is really stimulating, so give yourself a 2 to 3 hour buffer before you hit the hay.
So you've got the what and the how. But to really make this a pro-level habit, you got to master the when. Timing is, well, it's everything.
The optimal window, the sweet spot, is to do this protocol within 2 hours of finishing your workout. That's when your body is just primed and ready for that recovery stimulus. And as for how often, 2 to 3 times per week is really the sweet spot. And remember, more is not always better here. Doing this every single day can actually stress your system out and get in the way of your body's natural adaptation process. So treat your recovery with the same respect you treat your training. Be consistent, but don't overdo it. And I want to leave you with this really crucial piece of advice from Coach Markus, especially for you young athletes out there. He says, if you're in that prime growth window, pay extra attention to your sleep after these sessions. The synergy, the combination of this enhanced recovery and deeper sleep, that's where the real magic happens for growth.
So that's it. The elite secret, all laid out for you. The only question left is, are you ready to shift your mindset? Are you ready to stop thinking about recovery as just some passive break and start using it as an active tool for growth?